Mr. David Adejo, our host and the Executive Secretary of TETFund, Architect Sonny Echono, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to give this welcome address on behalf of the Executive Secretary of TETFund. With the kind permission of the Chairman, may I request that we observe a moment of silence in honor of 3 coordinating editors who passed on before the public presentation of their works today. They are late Professor David Kerr, coordinating editor for the textbook Literature in English for Tertiary Education in Nigeria, late Professor S.B. Adejuigbe, who is coordinating editor for Engineering Drawing / CAD, and late Professor Mary Kolawole. She is the co-coordinating editor for Women and Gender in Nigeria. So if you could kindly rise for a moment of silence in their honor. May their departed souls rest in peace. Honorable Minister, sir, the TETFund Technical Advisory Group, TAG, was first constituted under the then Education Trust Fund, ETF, in September 2009, with Professor Abubakar Rashid, the then Vice Chancellor of Bayero University, Kano, as chairman. 2 of its 8 terms of reference were to identify for the fund various areas and fields of book development that require funding and to propose ways and means of encouraging writing of indigenous books and reviving printing presses to address the scarcity of books in Nigeria's tertiary education institutions that had reached a crisis proportion. 20 TETFund-sponsored textbooks were published in 2014 in various disciplines, ranging from medicine, pharmacy, engineering, mathematics, agriculture, to the social sciences and humanities, including 8 books from PhD theses from Nigerian universities converted to books. That was the very first time that was being done. Today's event is epoch-making, particularly in 2 respects. The first is that this is the very first time that as many as 50 titles of academic books will be presented to the public at one event. You will recall, sir, that less than 5 months ago, on 23rd August 2022, yes, 10 books were unveiled at this same venue, making a total of 60 books in diverse disciplines produced for Nigeria's tertiary education institutions under the TETFund Higher Education Book Development Intervention Project since the reconstitution of TAG in 2019, despite the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, particularly in 2020 and 2021. Today's event is also epoch-making because for the very first time, books published by academic publishing centers established by TETFund in each of the 6 geopolitical zones and the Federal Capital Territory are being presented to the public. 40 of the 50 titles of TETFund-sponsored academic books being presented today are published by the Southwest Academic Publishing Center at the University of Lagos, the Northeast Academic Publishing Center at Modibo Adama University, Yola, the North Central Academic Publishing Center at the Federal University of Technology, Minna, and the Northwest Academic Publishing Center at Usmanu Danfodio University, Sokoto. So we are witnessing today, sir, the realization of an important goal of the TETFund Higher Education Book Development Intervention Project, which is reviving academic publishing in Nigeria's tertiary education institutions. With the academic publishing centers fully operational in a sustainable manner, there is no doubt that the Technical Advisory Group will continue to meet its mandate of delivering annually a substantial number of high-quality textbooks to the Nigerian tertiary education system. I should add that among the 50 titles of academic books being presented to the public today, 3 are from PhD theses of our young academics that have been converted to books. 12 are multi-authored basic or fundamental texts commissioned by TETFund and written by some of our best intellectuals in the academia, private sector, and government agencies. These books, though international in outlook, are written bearing in mind our peculiarities and local needs, and with practical examples that reflect familiar realities and experiences that our students can identify with. 43 of such books in diverse subject areas identified by needs assessment ranging from history, women and gender, literature in English, communication and media, mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, software engineering, materials engineering, medicine, veterinary surgery, agricultural economics, political science, Nigerian legal system, special needs education and rehabilitation sciences, to pension systems, actuarial science, modeling and simulation, bioinformatics and artificial intelligence have been commissioned by TETFund, and 29 have so far been completed. Finally, sir, Honorable Minister, I wish to publicly acknowledge the tremendous support and encouragement that the Technical Advisory Group has received from the Executive Secretary of TETFund, Architect Sonny Echono, since he assumed office in March 2022. I also want to acknowledge all the directors that are here, particularly the director of the Department for Education Support, without whose support, sir, we wouldn't be where we are today. With the continued support of the Executive Secretary, his drive and motivation, the nation is well on its way to restoring the culture of indigenous authorship with our tertiary education institutions becoming major players in the global knowledge economy. The Chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Executive Secretary of TETFund, I again welcome you to this epoch-making event and thank you for your kind attention.
We just heard the welcome address by the chairman of TETFund's Technical Advisory Group on Book Development, Professor Charles Ogugo Awo. Please, let's appreciate him once again. The Honorable Minister of State, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to recognize the presence of the President of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Professor Emmanuel Osodeke. You're welcome, sir. Next on our agenda, we'll be taking 2 remarks by representatives of the authors. It's my pleasure to invite Professor Olu Obafemi to give his remarks, please. Please, let's welcome Professor Olu Obafemi.
With a mandate of 5 minutes, I think it's wise to just rely on the extensively produced protocols. All the same, Honorable Minister, Permanent Secretary, the ES, my chairman, colleagues on the lower side of the high table, ladies and gentlemen, it's a matter of profound delight for me to be asked to speak on behalf of the authors of the 50 books. This is the first time in my life that I'll be asked to speak on 50 authors. I think I deserve a clap. But specifically, I wear 3 caps here. I'm a floor member of the Technical Advisory Group with my very dynamic chairman having given his address. I'm an author. What's the third one? I am chairman of council of one of the universities that publish the books. So if I speak trial quota, please note that I'm in character. Honorable Minister, the book enterprise is, with an alphabet B, is a critical alphabet of human civilization. In other words, the book is very key to national development and human civilization because it is within its welcome that development takes place, human development to be specific. Advanced nations are recognized by the kinds of books they produce. It is through authors that civilizations gain recognition. You will find that presidents come and go, but it is the writers that are always unforgettable. How many writers, how many presidents have passed before William Shakespeare? Or indeed before our own Wole Soyinka, and many. I'm conscious of my 5 minutes. But also the book is on one of the legs of the book chain and the book industry. Therefore, the writer and author for whom I'm speaking today are the researchers who constitute the first leg of the book chain and the book industry, which includes publishers, for which we are one, booksellers, book distributors, and especially book consumers, upon which the book culture resides. So I am most delighted to give commendation, profound commendation, to TETFund for recognizing the critical import of books. And even though TETFund, let me take it again, even though without TETFund, the walls behind at the back of universities will not be there today in Nigeria. That is, the TETFund has played very critical infrastructural role in the existence of universities. But it is the knowledge content to which TETFund has paid attention in recent times, which my chairman has eloquently amplified, that makes the importance of TETFund even more significant. I'd like to congratulate the Executive Secretary for this very dynamic role and given unassailable import to the value of books and knowledge production. And I think this is a specifically important role that any educational agency should play, and TETFund has played this very well. The writers, the authors, are usually not the ones recognized all the time, because the labor, even their labor of love, is always regarded as a labor of waste in societies that don't understand. They burn the midnight oil, they are lonely, the job is hazardous, yet it is their writing that become the most valuable tool that we use in educational institutions. So writers, authors, as one of you, I congratulate you, and I therefore wish to add my voice to the chairman's voice to say, this is a job well done, first in our history, but a history that must continue to grow. I thank you.
Please, let's appreciate Professor Olu Obafemi once again. Also to make remarks is Professor Medina Kadiri. While she comes to the podium, I'd like to recognize the presence of the President of the Colleges of Education Academic Staff Union, Dr. Smart Olugbeko. You're welcome to this event. Thank you for joining us. I also want to welcome the Registrar of the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, Professor Adisa Bello. Thank you for joining us.
The Honorable Minister, the Executive Secretary, our Chairman, he's tagged, other members of the High Table, authors here present, publishers, those working behind the scene, the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor and privilege to stand here to make a brief remark on behalf of the authors. Now, book development project of TETFund is apt at this time of our national development. It's apt at the time where there is a dearth of materials, books, in terms of quality and quantity. It is apt for several reasons, a few of which are our students visit the internet, and even lecturers and researchers We go to the internet and take whatever we have there. And remember that internet is garbage in, garbage out. It takes technicality, it takes expertise to sift the grain from the chaff, the materials you collect from the internet. The second other reason is that foreigners have written our books for us, even on our local materials. I'm not saying that a few of us have not, published one or a few books. I thank the foreigners anyhow for standing forth, but we have arrived. TETFund has taken the bull by the horn in the terms of massive book development. That is to make these books available and published, on many disciplines and on a large scale. For that, we thank TETFund, we thank and we thank our chairman, the chairman of TAG, and the committee members for their doggedness. You can imagine the back and forth between the authors, especially these eggheads, the brilliant Nigerians in general, and professors for that matter. There's always argument between the reviewer, what the reviewer has reviewed about my subject. I don't agree with you. This is how it's supposed to be. You don't understand it. Like that. So back and forth, 1,000 times. That is why I say I salute the doggedness of the committee members, headed by the chairman, Professor Charles Awu. I also want to thank the authors. The authors for brazing it, for your tenacity, not only in terms of the context or contents, but for putting out your integrity out there on the chopping board. Because every is, every noun, every verb, every phrase in that book, you are held accountable. So that's why I say I salute your courage for putting out your integrity, for guillotine. I pray that we all survive it. No one is above mistakes, but we learn from our mistakes and, we improve and get better from there. These books are not only for local use, but also for regional use, and also a great addition to the global academia. So, and the world hungers for materials from Africa, from the tropics. So, we should make this material available worldwide, not only for the commerce, but for accessibility, visibility, and all others. And of course, the author should be able to also smile in dollars or euros. Yeah, I want to thank every other person who has worked behind the scene. And, the problem we seem to have, that is us in the university, is the marketing. You see, in the in the tertiary institutions, for many people to successfully market their book, you tell the students you must buy, you must write down your name. But many of us don't have that lever. We don't have that lever. And you just say, you leave it. If you like, you buy. And if you tell them if you like, you buy, they will never buy. Students will never buy. So we need to look at other avenues, where we can sell these books, and so that our efforts will not be wasted. while I am rounding up to rest my case, I want to, I hope I have been able to convince you and not confuse you that TETFund is doing a great job. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, panel of judges, TETFund is doing a great job. Please let's appreciate her. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have just about 30 minutes to round off this event, and we'll be taking some goodwill messages very quickly. It's my pleasure to invite the representative of the ES of the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council, Dr. Unana Eleri, who is the Director, Book Development Center, for a quick goodwill message. Please let's appreciate him as he comes.
The Honorable Minister, ably represented, I want to plead that I stand on existing, already established protocol to deliver a speech from Professor Ismail Ejinedu, the Executive Secretary of Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council, who is unavoidably absent from this August meeting. In his words, he said, books are indispensable tools for the development of a country. Books are an integral part of teaching and learning resources, and they play a decisive role in the development and sustainable of knowledge and the transmission of and preservation of our cultural heritage. Books, according to him, good books serve as a vehicle for inter-regional and international understanding and appreciation. Thus, the importance of quality books towards the educational development of the country cannot be overemphasized. Tertiary Education Trust Fund initiative to sponsor book development and production at the tertiary level is an admirable stride that will bridge the noticed gap of not having quality reading and learning materials in our schools. The initiative will also provide a vista where quality research output will be disseminated and utilized in Nigeria, both in print and electronic forms. This effort of TETFund is commendable and is rational gesture that will further showcase the quality of Nigerian educational system and reverse the noticed brain drain at our higher institutions. NRDC will congratulate the Honorable Minister, TETFund, for this initiative, for providing the leadership, for providing necessary leadership for the Nigerian educational sector, and the Executive Secretary of TETFund, Architect Sonny, and his teams for what they have done, this giant stride. At one time, you are presenting 50 titles at one sitting. Can we put our hands together for them? NRC is happy to be part of this novel accomplishment of TETFund, hoping that more support and sponsorship will be provided to develop more titles and provide grants for research and development in our higher institutions, including research entities in Nigeria, which NRDC is one of them. Thank you very much for listening, sir, and God bless us.
Thank you very much, sir. Next is the Executive Secretary, National Commission for Colleges of Education, Professor Paulinus Okwele. Please let's welcome Professor Okwele.
The Honorable Minister of Education, the PAMSEC, our host, the ES TETFund, other members of the responsibility table, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me stand on the existing protocol. Very delighted to be here today to witness the unveiling of these 50 textbooks sponsored by TETFund. About 4 months ago, we were in this hall to also unveil 10 of books written by Nigerian authors. I think today, anytime you hear any good thing happening in our higher tertiary institutions, if you watch, ask question who is behind it, it is TETFund. So we commend TETFund for the much you are doing for our higher institutions, our tertiary institutions. And watching the trend, It's very possible that if we, within the space of 5 months, we have unveiled 60 books. If we go by this trend, we can project that before the end of this year, we'll be running to hundreds or even thousands. And then, the real aim for this project, we can say, is actually being met or will be met very soon. The importance has been highlighted by my earlier speakers. I wouldn't go into that. Everyone of us know the importance of books in our institutions. I need to commend the authors for meeting the high standard high standards set by TAG. So congratulations for your books to be accepted, your manuscripts to be accepted for the books. And I know this will also encourage so many other persons to continue to write. I must say that going through the 50, only 3 are from the College of Education. I will stand here to say that as the regulatory agency, the one regulating the activities of the College of Education, we will encourage them to really partake or to fit in or to buy into this very laudable project. Once again, the Honorable Minister, we want to also appreciate you for the support the ministry is giving to all the regulatory agencies and TETFund in particular in this particular project. And I'm also congratulating the ES TETFund, all the directors, and everyone that works there for all you are doing in our tertiary institutions. Thank you all, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Thank you, NCC ES, Professor Okwele. Next is the President of COASU, Dr. Smart Olugbeko. As the National President of the Colleges of Education Association, Academic Staff Union, rather. Please, let's welcome him once again.
The Honorable Minister, please permit me to stand on the existing protocol. On behalf of Colleges of Education Academic Staff Union, I want to use this opportunity to appreciate the Executive Secretary of TETFund and members of staff of TETFund for this great thing that is happening at this moment. We believe that since the ES has come on board, he hit the ground running, and there has not been lull or any gap, and that is a manifestation of when the round peg is put in the round hole. So we want to appreciate you, sir. Also, we want to appreciate the fact that TETFund has been able to live up to its mandate, the mandate of being able to reposition tertiary education sector. And this has been done diligently and to the satisfaction of those of us that are beneficiaries and within the system. And TETFund has become a model, not just for this country, but internationally. And to this, we are proud to associate with the fund. The unveiling of 50 books at this time is nothing but a giant stride. A giant stride because I believe this is even qualified to be in the Guinness Book of Record. And we believe that within a short time, we are going to see more of this happening in our sector. I want to use this opportunity to appeal to the fund to understand the fact that as colleges of education, we produce teachers, and any country that does not take the issue of teachers seriously will continue to be overwhelmed by underdevelopment. Just as we witnessed now in Nigeria, where we have different types of social ills as a result of the willful neglect of teacher education, and to the fact that the out-of-school children, we are hitting 20 million students that are supposed to be in schools. And government is only addressing the issue of access to education, but has not been able to understand that even the quality of teachers, the availability of teachers, are critical issues that have led to these people being out of school. And if we do not take conscious effort at addressing this, then we'll continue to battle with this problem for a long time. And therefore, we want to appeal to TETFund to please concentrate also more on teacher education. For instance, of all the publishing centers, none is established in colleges of education. And we believe that we are the mothers of all professions. In colleges of education, we have science teachers, engineering teachers, technical teachers, special education teachers that are not even available in most universities. Therefore, we believe that we deserve to be given this type of publishing center for our members to be able to live up to their expectation. And lastly, distinguished minister, sir, we want to say this, that the core mandate of any academics, as we talk about teaching, researching, and community service. If 50 books will be produced in the last 8 months, in the last 1 year, it is a testament to the fact that academic staffs, when they are on strike, they also work. They also work to be able to produce 50 books. And therefore, the issue of no work, no pay, the issue of no work, no pay should not come in at all, because this is the evidence that academic staff, they have been working. Thank you.
Yes, indeed, that was a very good one by Dr. Smart Ulugbeko. Let's appreciate him. Another. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are still taking goodwill messages. And next is the President of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Professor Emmanuel Osodeke. Please let us appreciate Professor Osodeke as he comes to the podium. Professor Osodeke is a very good friend of TETFund. Even at the last event we had, he was there. Thank you very much, sir.
Well, thank you very much for this. Honorable Minister, and all of us who are present here today. I want to thank my colleague there for raising the issues. And I think it's very important. I will just say little things about what is TETFund and how did they originate. In 1992, the union was on strike and negotiating like we were doing a few years ago with Olu Obafemi and co. And when we finished, the government said, how can we fund it? And we say, challenge us. ASU will tell you how to fund this agreement. And ASU was challenged. It didn't take 3 days. We come up with this idea of TETFund. Accepted by government. Then military, I think for me, I'm saying that military are even more sympathetic than the one we are having presently. And TETFund came into place. The decree was signed, 1993. ASU had to go on strike again to get the FROS to start collecting. ASU had to go on strike a third time to ensure that TETFund board is formed and the money released. As at that time, 600 million were already missing. We have not recovered that money. I think the next government should recover that 600 million. In 1993, it should be ₦1 trillion today. So that was the idea of TETFund. 2, in 2010, ASU found out that this thing was spreading around primary, secondary, and what have you, and releasing the quality of what TETFund should do. And the union went on strike in 2010, 2011 to also force the government to ensure that the thing is restricted to tertiary education. And that was why in 2011 it was changed from ETF to tertiary education. And the impact is available today. I can assure you, if there was no TETFund today, we will not have any university in this country today. We will not have any polytechnic. All the state universities are closed. I gave a lecture somewhere to the state universities. You have a third generation university today, third generation of universities, not just state. And I labeled them TETFund universities. Governors are now busy creating universities knowing that TETFund will fund it. Legislators, go to National Assembly, they have no less than 90 universities. When you can't fund the one you have. And what is the idea? TETFund. A president was leaving a year to establish 14 universities. And all those universities, their takeoff grant and everything was through TETFund. The 14 of them. The money that should have come to all the universities were given to those universities. Is that how to run the country? So, and when it started, when it was doing very well, with all due respect to the new ES, it was agreed that ASU will be member of the board of TETFund. But somewhere along the line, they secretly, without inviting any union, the National Assembly changed that law and removed ASU. And you know why? You know why? The body that will check that money was removed so that it's free. Today, it's political. Whether you like it or not, I will say it here. A project came to my university. I'm a director, a member of those who award contracts, the board, UTP. I never saw it. We didn't see it, but the contract came. Hosted. So what am I saying, if that there is need to go back? The unions that fought for this, not just ASU, like we are doing with need assessment today. Need assessment, go to university, only 1 year TETFund, money taken by junior for just 1 year is what we are using for need assessment. But go and look at the project that have been done with 1 year using need assessment fund. Why? Because there is a body like IMC, Implementation Money Committee at the national level with all the unions part of that body. Go and look at the effect today in the system. Just 1 year allocation that government secretly removed, taking from Paul to pay Paul. We agree with you, you reach 200 billion every year. You went and take from TETFund and say you are giving your OT. We didn't know until 2 years later that the money was taken from TETFund. So what are we saying? There is a need to change the system. All the unions, those who fought for it, those who believe in Nigerian education, those who had their children in Nigerian universities, not those children outside the country, should be part of the board of TETFund to ensure the money are used for Nigerian people and not for a few individuals. Well, I want to talk about this. One of the speakers was saying that we allow the foreigner to publish our book for us, which is not correct. We are actually the one publishing the book for foreigners. There is no university in the world you will go, good university you not see in Nigeria, working and publishing. There is none anywhere in the world. But how many foreigners do you have here working as assistant and publishing? 0. So we are the one publishing for them. We are the one teaching their students. We are the doctors treating their patients, but none is coming here. That should be the change. Honorable yes, that should be the change. There is also this trend, I don't know, thank God is changing, where you can afford to spend 30 million naira to train one person in UK. TETFund will fund 20, 30 million to train one person in UK. But a department cannot get 1 million in a year. If you are training 2 people in a department, 40, 60 million naira in UK, put that money in that department, it will transform it to the best in the world. So we should look inwards and not outwards. We should ensure that the funding that we will use to pay so much outside the country is spent on our laboratories, on training our staff, and ensure that we have, please, in the 70s, 80s, Saudis, even their prince, they come to UCH, University of Ibadan Teaching Hospital, for treatment. That is where they come for treatment. Today, a counselor, he have headache, he runs abroad. Counselor. A minister have headache, he runs abroad. What do you respect, sir? Somebody has said it, and my friend said it. I will just say, we thinking because we want to punish lecturers, thinking that we want to punish them. You punish lecturer, you punish the country. When you say you are punishing a lecturer, you are punishing the whole country. You say no work, no pay. Go to any university today. For the first time since I started lecturing in 1990, for the first time in the history of Nigerian universities, no university had a break for Christmas. You can check. No university before Christmas, you have about 2-3 weeks break. But no university in this country had a break. What they just observed is a 2-day holiday, Monday, Tuesday, after Christmas, and Monday after New Year. Because they want to cover the lost ground. And the government is saying, no work, no pay. It's sad. It's terrible. And I think this country will overcome this. with the intelligentsia we have, we should overcome this. Finally, we have negotiated, and he's aware, and I want to thank that committee because they stood their ground. We have negotiated. What I expect government to ask us, what do we do? And we did it. We told them that if you took a fraction of stamp duty and give to education, you have solved the problem. Today, people are talking about 70, 20, 30 trillions that is missing on it might not be correct, but there's huge money. When we serve in a committee, and I serve in that committee, we found out 21 trillion were already collected. 21 trillion as at 1998 to 2018, 21 trillion were already collected on stamp duty, but there were court cases. The chief in China, I think he's dead now, the senator then. So, what are we saying? If this government, if all of us Nigerians, we should put pressure on this government, whoever wants to come, it's very easy to fund. Increase TETFund tax from 2% or 2.5% to 10%. Tax the big men, not the poor men. Tax the big men. Have the courage to increase it to 10%, and you will solve all the problem. People make trillions every day as profit. People make huge money. Tax the big men, not the poor men. Every month, I pay about 20% of my salary as tax. How much do those people pay? Tax the big men, tax the big company. Today, TETFund also know, and we are working on it as a union, that many of these big companies don't pay tax, don't pay education tax. We have found out many don't pay. What do? To escape paying this tax and that tax, they say, I want to tie road to my company. They give you 10 years waiver. You want to tie road to your own company, they give you 10 years waiver. That 10-year waiver covers education tax. Education is not road. So you want to do this, you get waiver. And that is why this year I noticed it, that the expected income has decreased because they are just dashing out waivers. This have to stop. And also have to be in the board, just like other unions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The next goodwill message will be by the representative of the head of service of the Federation, Malam Ibrahim Yusufu. Please let's welcome him as he gives the last goodwill message for this event.
The Minister of Education, ably represented by the Minister of State, Permanent Secretary, Federal Minister of Education, ES, TETFund, and other members of High Table, other invited guests. I'm here to represent the head of service. She is here with you in spirit, but I'm physically here for her. She identifies with why we are here and asked me to come and deliver this very short speech on her behalf. And I wish to read it to your hearing. It is with great pleasure that I wish to commend the Tertiary Education Fund on this public presentation of 50 titles of academic books written by Nigerian scholars and published under the sponsorship of the Fund's Higher Education Book Development Intervention Project. I am particularly happy this is being done during the tenure of the current ES, architect Sonny Ochono, who worked closely with me and retired as Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education in January 2022. He is our own. This is probably the largest number of titles of academic books being presented at a time since establishment of the Higher Education Book Development Intervention in 2009. With the high commitment to duty of the Executive Secretary, which I have observed when he was working in the civil service, I'm confident this number will more than be doubled in the next presentation. The Higher Education Book Development Intervention Fund is a laudable objective initiated by the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, aimed at promoting the production and consumption of locally published materials in our tertiary institutions. This will greatly assist our students in their educational pursuit, as well as researchers. It will also promote national pride, as well as lessen pressure on demand for our scarce foreign exchange. It is a well-known fact, education is the main driver of national growth. That is why it is also one of the 9 areas of priority of the present administration under President Muhammad Buhari, GCFR. We are all aware of the numerous challenges in the education sector. This effort by TETFund will greatly help in restoring the culture of research and academic publishing within the higher education sector, and therefore contribute in addressing some of the challenges. While congratulating the TETFund on this great effort, I wish to assure the fund of my unflinching support in any area of need. Thank you all for listening.
Yes, thank you very much. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have gotten to the high point of this event, and that is the unveiling of the 50 books. It's my pleasure, therefore, to invite the Honorable Minister of State for Education, Right Honorable Goodluck Nana Opia, for the public presentation of the books. Honorable Minister of State, sir.
The chairman of today's occasion, Professor Charles, Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Education, the Executive Secretary, TETFund, all members of the high table, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am standing in for our boss, the Honorable Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, who is unavoidably absent. I am very glad to be part of this landmark public presentation and unveiling of 50 titles of academic books written by Nigerian scholars and published under the sponsorship of TETFund's Higher Education Book Development Intervention Project. Today's public presentation is in tandem with the commitment made during the presentation of first set of the 10 TETFund-sponsored books on the 23rd of August 2022, that additional 30 books will be presented. Today, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, 50 titles, academic books are being presented, surpassing the projected 30 books. I must commend the efforts of the management and staff of TETFund for this huge achievement and for engaging authors and scholars from federal, state, and private institutions in Nigeria. The paucity of indigenously authored and produced tertiary level books and related academic publications in the tertiary education institution is a known fact. Over time, Nigerian tertiary education institutions became dependent on books published outside the country, with the attendant consequences of Herculean processes and unfavorable foreign exchange rates. It is equally worrisome that the quality of most of the academic publications in our country leaves much to be desired. It is therefore expected that nourishing the culture of quality authorship and production of indigenous books will not only ensure the availability of relevant books in the diverse areas, taking cognizance of our local environment and sensitivities, but also safeguard national pride and reduce the demand for foreign exchange. In order to ensure successful implementation of the Higher Education Book Development Project, the Board of Trustees of TETFund in the year 2009 set up the Technical Advisory Group, whose mandate included collaboratively working with the fund in fine-tuning the book's development blueprint document into strategic working document that clearly spells out the administrative procedures, frameworks, and guidelines for effective administration of TETFund Higher Education Books Development Intervention Folks in the tertiary institutions in the country, and reviewing the documents whenever the need arises. TETFund's Book Development Fund intervenes in the three key areas of publication of academic books and the conversion of high-quality theses into books, support for professional association journals, and establishment and sustainability of academic publishing centers. It is worthy of note that in the last 9 months, March to December 2022, 60 manuscripts have been passed through rigorous review processes by distinguished scholars and successfully published as books. I'm elated to inform the gathering that more manuscripts are under various stages of review processes by technical advisory group, while additional set of 20 books are in the publishing house at the University of Jos and University of Nigeria in Nsukka. In line with the program of the current administration of Mr. President, 100% of the books being unveiled today under the Higher Education Book Development Intervention Projects were published indigenously, and 80% of these books were published by the academic publishing centers established by TETFund. Teaching and research depend on relevant instructional materials such as books and journals, monographs, and other specialized reading materials, as well as e-publishing of books and journals. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the government is giving more attention to publication through TETFund in a bid to provide adequate indigenous learning materials in our tertiary educational institutions for national development and to improve the global ranking of Nigerian tertiary institutions. I cannot conclude this address without recognizing the unflinching support and encouragement the Minister of Education is getting from Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. I want to reiterate the fact that the administration of Mr. President recognized the place of education as the main driver of national growth, hence the commitment in funding and policy reprioritization towards content development and capacity building of staff of our public tertiary education institutions. While appreciating everyone that has contributed to the success story, I wish to specially recognize the efforts of the authors of the 50 titles academic books being presented today for the sacrifices made towards building the capacity of the faculty of Nigerian tertiary institutions. I also want to charge TETFund and the academia to go beyond publishing in English languages to promote authorship in our local languages in line with the recently approved national language policy. On this note, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to unveil the 50 titles academic books presented today by the TETFund for the use of all. Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Hello, hello, hello. I want to invite the presidents of ASU and COASU to please join in the public presentation of the books. I can always, sorry. I can also see the president of ASUP. Please join in the public presentation. Please permit me to announce that the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs is represented at this event by Mr. Joseph Unzugwe. You're welcome, sir.
The Permanent Secretary, Federal Minister of Education, my friend, the President of ASU, and the Executive Secretary, once more, on behalf of the Honorable Minister, Malam Adamu, who is unavoidably absent, I have the pleasure to unveil academic books published under the sponsorship of TETFund. May God bless everybody in Nigeria.
Amen. You just witnessed the unveiling of the 50 books by the Honorable Minister of State for Education, Right Honorable Goodluck Nana Opia. Please let's appreciate this moment. Thank you, Honorable Minister of State. Thank you so much. We appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Yes, we may be seated. The Honorable Minister of State will be taking his leave now, but meanwhile the program continues. The Executive Secretary will be speaking next to us, and he will be giving a vote of thanks. It's my pleasure to invite the Executive Secretary, TETFund, Architect Sonny S.T. Echono, for the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister of State, who represented the Honorable Minister, Malam Adamu, the Permanent Secretaries of the Federal Ministry of Education, and the Permanent Secretary representing the Head of Service of the Federation, Executive Secretaries, Director Generals, and other Chief Executives of parastatals across the country, the Chair of TAG, who brought all of us here today, and all the other eminent members of TAG who are here present. The presidents of all the 3 academic unions at the various layers of our tertiary education tree, President ASU, President ASUP, and the President of COASU, as well as their delegation. The Vice Chancellors, Provosts, and Rectors here present. Directors of TETFund and the Ministry. Other representatives from various sectors here. Our publishers, the authors and reviewers, gentlemen of the press, mine is a very simple task to, on behalf of the Honorable Minister, the board and management of TETFund, express our profound appreciation for everyone that have contributed in one way or the other to making today the success it has become. I recall sometime in August when I approached the Honorable Minister to come in and launch 10 of the books that we were about to publish. In our usual banters, he told me TETFund and the entire tertiary education system is too big to be announcing 10 books. Why not 30? And that if I can get 30 ready for him before the end of the year. He guarantees he'll come and launch it. So for us to move from 30 to 50, I believe all praise and glory will go to the Almighty, but we should also thank Professor Awo and his team for their dedication, their commitment, and all the sacrifice that went into achieving this. It is not an easy task, but it tells us one thing. Once we challenge our people, once we create the environment, we have the people with the right intellect and commitment and motivation to achieve results. And that is what is before us today. So TETFund pledges to continue to do this. We have set a minimum target of 50 per year until we get to a point where we will say we have attained some level of stability and sufficiency. And I'm sure even as we talk about 50, the tag will also exceed our expectations. So as we all go back to our various destinations, I want to pray that the Almighty will take us home safely and we will reunite with our loved ones. I urge my staff, and I deeply appreciate the management and staff of TETFund for the tremendous support we've enjoyed. Each time I take these proposals to them, I get unanimous response and approval. So I commend the management. I also want to particularly register the support we have received all across the board. In a week from now, the Nigeria Academia will hear multiple news. Those who are interested in research, who have applied for grants, will hear from us. And also, with the partnership and support of the National Assembly, you will also hear something about TETFund funding. So on behalf of Honorable Minister again and management and staff of TETFund, I thank you all and God bless you. Have a happy and very prosperous New Year. Thank you.
With the vote of thanks by the ES, we have come to the end of this event. Shall we please rise for the national anthem? The national anthem, please. Thank you very much.